The biggest networking opportunities rarely happen at networking events. They happen days, weeks, and sometimes even months later. Here is the thing most people never realize. They judge networking by the conversations they just had. But successful networkers judge networking by what happens after the conversation ends. That's the difference between collecting business cards and creating opportunities. Over the last few videos, we talked about how to start conversations, keep the conversations flowing, avoid common mistakes, and move conversations forward. Those skills matter, but networking becomes much easier when you stop treating every event like a brand new experience. The people who consistently get results aren't reinventing the wheel every time they walk into a room. They're following a process, and that's what I want to talk about today. Because networking can actually be enjoyable when you know what you're doing. And more importantly, your network is often a direct reflection of your net worth. The opportunities available to you are often tied to the relationships you've built. So let's talk about how successful networkers create those opportunities successfully. A great conversation feels productive. You leave feeling energized. You exchanged ideas. Maybe you've exchanged contact information. Maybe you even thought that went really well, but conversations alone don't create opportunities. What creates opportunities is what happens before and after that conversation. Think about it. Have you ever met someone, had a fantastic conversation, exchanged information, and then nothing happened? Most people have because the conversation was never the finish line. It was the starting point. The conversation simply opens the door. But what you do with that open door determines whether an opportunity develops or disappears. And that's where most people get stuck. They think networking success happens during the conversation. And in reality, the conversation is just the first step in a much bigger process. Now, once you understand that conversations are only the beginning, the natural question becomes, what does the rest of the process actually look like? Successful networkers follow a process. The people who get the best results from networking tend to follow a predictable pattern. Before the event starts, they're already preparing. They know who they want to meet, they know what they're hoping to learn, they know how they'll introduce themselves, and they've already removed a lot of the uncertainty that makes networking feel uncomfortable. Then they engage in meaningful conversations, not perfect conversations, not scripted conversations, but meaningful. They're curious, they're present, they're focused on learning about the other person. And after the event, this is where things really start to separate. They follow up, they reconnect, they stay visible, they continue building the relationship because they understand that opportunities don't usually appear because of one conversation. They appear because of consistent relationship building over time. When networking becomes a process instead of an event, everything becomes easier. You stop guessing, you stop hoping, you start creating predictable results. And if you're realizing you've never actually been taught a complete networking process, that's exactly why I created Your Net Worth is Your Network, a webinar designed to give professional and business owners a proven system for turning conversations into real opportunities. You'll learn how to prepare for networking opportunities, have stronger conversations, follow up with confidence, and build relationships that lead to measurable results. You can register using the link below. But stay with me because the most important piece of networking success is what happens next. And here's the part nobody talks about. The biggest networking opportunities rarely happen at the event itself. They happen later. Relationship creates results. The referral, the introduction, the collaboration, the client, the job opportunity, the speaking engagement. Those things often happen weeks or months later. Why? Because somebody remembered you, because you stayed connected, because you continued investing in the relationship, because you became more than just another business card that they collected. Networking isn't about meeting the most people, it's about building the right relationships over time. The people who create the biggest opportunities aren't necessarily the most outgoing people in the room. They're the people who consistently nurture relationships. That's what creates trust. That's what creates credibility. And that's what creates opportunities. When you start viewing networking through that lens, it becomes far more enjoyable. You stop chasing transactions, you start building connections, and over time, those connections become one of your most valuable assets because your network truly is a reflection of your net worth. Not because every relationship immediately creates revenue, but because opportunities flow through people, and the stronger your relationships become, the more opportunities tend to find their way to you. Throughout this series, we've talked about how to start conversations, keep conversations flowing, avoid common networking mistakes, and move relationships forward. But none of those skills matter if they aren't connected to a system. The people who consistently win at networking aren't lucky. They're intentional. They follow a process, they build relationships, and they create opportunities over time. And that's exactly what I want for you. And if you're ready to stop hoping networking works and start following a proven system, join me inside Your Net Worth is Your Network. The link is below because the goal isn't to collect contacts. The goal is to create opportunities, and opportunities begin with relationships. I'll see you inside.